The prime minister in the Palestinian Authority, his name is Mohammed, has resigned following the United States pressuring the Palestinian Authority to reform its governance in the West Bank. Now, the PA has long been seen as corrupt by the United States government and also by Palestinians. In fact, the Palestinian Authority has lost credibility among Palestinian civilians, which is part of the reason why the United States wants to see some significant reforms. Now, in a statement, the prime minister announced, quote, "I place the government's resignation at the disposal of Mr. President Mahmoud Abbas last Tuesday, and today I submit it in writing." Now, in a statement to cabinet, he, who's of course an academic economist who took office back in 2019, said that the next stage would require new governmental and political arrangements that take into account the emerging reality in the Gaza Strip, the national unity talks, and the urgent need for an inter-Palestinian consensus. In addition, it would require the extension of the authority over the entire land, Palestine. So remember that the West Bank is governed by the Palestinian Authority. It has increasingly lost favorability among Palestinian civilians, but that's not true of Gaza, which had been voted in by Palestinians back in 2006, which voted in Hamas back in 2006. And then after that, they did away with elections entirely and has had control over the Gaza Strip. Now, the US wants the Palestinian Authority to govern the Gaza Strip once the war is over. But Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli government has made it very clear that they are not in favor of that and will not allow that to happen. So there's a disagreement between the US government and the Israeli government, but nonetheless, the US government argues that if the Palestinian Authority makes some reforms, then they should be the ones to govern the Gaza Strip. Cenk.
We might have millions of people watching this show, but you can be the difference maker because we just need 1% of our audience to be paid members, and then this show can be around forever. So you can make that difference. Click join now. So let me get this right. No accountability for the Israeli government that killed 30,000 people just now and is still in the middle of killing way more, mostly women and children. No accountability. They don't have to change their government at all. Whereas the Palestinians in the West Bank, having nothing to do with Gaza, have to change their government because we're putting tons of pressure on them. And the pressure we put on them, I imagine, is very different than the pressure we put on Israel. The pressure we put on Israel is, oh my God, that looks a little tiny bit bad. Could you please cut that out? Like, oh yeah, oh, we really got him. For the Palestinians, my guess is, we're gonna take away all your money unless you do as you're told. Why don't we try that on Israel? Oh, we can't try it on Israel. Only on the Palestinians who are occupied, etc. Now, does that mean that I think that this prime minister should stay in power? The Palestinian Authority is not corrupt? No, I don't know enough about this guy to make a judgment call, but I'm not at all surprised that the Palestinian Authority is corrupted, along with almost all the governments in the world. And the #1 most corrupt government in the world is America, because we legalize bribes. So people just buy our politicians. In fact, AIPAC and Democratic Majority for Israel and other lobbyists here bought our president. That's why the Palestinian prime minister is out, but the Israeli prime minister isn't. Let's be honest about what's happening. So you can tell, oh, you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to say that. Well, except I just did because it's a stone cold fact.
In fact, since we're talking about the West Bank, I think what's really telling is a moment that occurred during a State Department press conference today. So Matthew Miller was answering questions from reporters, and remember, one of the biggest problems in the West Bank is that Israeli settlers keep coming in, driving Palestinians out of their homes. They keep building illegal settlements. And what's interesting is that while the United States has sanctioned 4 Israeli settlers for this behavior, they seem to have a problem referring to those settlements as illegal settlements. And so Miller was asked about it during a State Department presser today, and I thought that the way he handled the question shows you the double standard in how the United States treats the Palestinian Authority versus the Israeli government, which of course allows these settlers to keep doing what they're doing. Let's watch.
Why don't you guys just come out and take a position once and for all? Are settlements okay, or are they actually quote unquote illegal under international?
So I don't think you should hear me saying that settlements are okay. You should see hear loud and clear. Let me hear loud and clear me saying, from a policy perspective, we believe they are a barrier to peace. From a legal perspective, we believe they're inconsistent with international law.
Yeah, but you don't believe that they're illegal.
You know, I will let the lawyers, of which I am not, speak to the difference between those two terms, if any. But on behalf of the United States, we do not believe they're consistent with international law.
The delicate nature in which the US and our State Department handles questions pertaining to bad behavior carried out by Israel and Israeli settlers is amazing, especially when you think of this, or you put that kind of treatment up against the statements we've heard from the US government in regard to the Palestinians, in regard to the Palestinian Authority and the need for reforms. And to be fair, okay, the Palestinian people aren't happy with the Palestinian Authority. But guess what? The Israeli people aren't happy with the current Israeli government.
Yeah, massive protests against Netanyahu right now in Israel. Okay, so now let's talk about how we're gonna get to peace. Because the right-wing government of Israel says we can't deal with Hamas, they're not a partner for peace. A lot of people might say, okay, that's reasonable. I don't think it's reasonable because you make peace with your enemies no matter how much you hate them. But apparently there's a new standard that your enemies have to love you. Okay, so we're gonna get to that. So then I say, okay, well, how about Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Authority? Remember, Abbas is the president, the prime minister just stepped down, okay? So they say, no, but we can't do a peace deal with him because he has no credibility. Okay, so what are you waiting for then? You're waiting for a Palestinian leader who loves Israel and has tons of credibility with Palestinians. Okay, so why don't you just say you don't want a peace deal? Because this is nothing but propaganda. And come on, guys, snap out of it, snap out of it. I'm not like most of you are, but for the ones that are still supporting the Israeli government and the atrocities that they've committed here, really, you're gonna find a Palestinian leader that just loves Israel. And the Palestinians are like, oh my God, you love the people occupying us and oppressing us and humiliating us and killing us? Oh, that's great, we love you. That's not a thing. Look, let's be honest about Israel at this point. It's along with North Korea and what China is doing to the Uyghurs in the camps that they put them in. Israel is now one of the most oppressive countries in the world. They occupy, imprison 5 million Palestinians and crush them and kill them anytime they like. So we're talking about how the real problem is the Palestinian Authority? Oh, well, okay, tell me what the prison guard collaborators are doing, but don't tell me about the person running the prison. That's absurd, it's absurd. So if you want to say the Palestinian Authority is corrupt, very likely it is. But so is Netanyahu, he's up on corruption charges. Palestinian Authority didn't kill 30,000 Israelis, Israel killed 30,000 Palestinians. So everything is through the looking glass. Everything is nonsense. So it does not comport with international law, but the settlements are not illegal.
Yeah, it's such a weird way of handling that question.
No, I'm tired of Orwellian crap where people say, yes, even though everything you're saying is a fact, you're not allowed to say it. No, I am allowed to say it, I did say it. Israel is a massively oppressive state that is butchering people as we speak. I'm not interested in resignations in the West Bank, I'm interested in resignations in Israel.
Now, the Palestinian Authority's president, Mahmoud Abbas, has accepted the resignation of the prime minister, but asked him to remain in his post until a replacement is found. So no successor has been appointed as of now, but Abbas is widely expected to name Mohammed Mustafa, a former World Bank official who is chairman of the Palestine Investment Fund, with experience of rebuilding Gaza after a previous war back in 2014. Now there has been no word on elections, and that's the other thing. I mean, you need buy-in by the Palestinian people as well. They're not happy with the Palestinian Authority, and now we're having discussions about appointing prime ministers and appointing people and having a foreign government, the United States, essentially call the shots about what reforms need to be made, while simultaneously just kind of brushing off possible reforms that need to be made with the Israeli government.
Gee, I wonder why they have no credibility, the Palestinian Authority, Abbas, and the prime minister. That's because America orders them around, and who is America? America is Israel. So Israel picks their leaders and then says, can you believe their leaders don't have any credibility because I picked them? Okay, just say you don't want to do peace and that you just want to keep butchering people. Just say it, okay? No, but they won't. Blah, 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 blah. And America comes in with blah, 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 blah. Oh, they're the greatest ally. They're such a wonderful democracy. Who cares about the 5 million people they imprisoned? They're no good Palestinians. Who cares about the 30,000 they butchered? Who cares? Who cares? They're just Palestinians. We don't care about their lives. Why don't you be honest for the first time in your life? Any American spokesperson, let alone the Israelis.
And talks about peace or talks about the Palestinian Authority governing the Gaza Strip is useless when Netanyahu has made clear that he is not in favor of the PA taking control of Gaza. And Netanyahu gets to do whatever he wants with impunity from the United States. The United States never holds Netanyahu accountable. There's some rhetoric here and there, but the rhetoric is never followed up with actions. The US never uses its leverage to ensure that there's some pressure for Netanyahu to do the right thing or to step down in this case. I mean, the Israeli people don't like him. He should step down. The US government doesn't like him, and various politicians, including Donald Trump and Joe Biden, have said some pretty critical things about Netanyahu. He is an obstacle to peace. So there's no pressure for him to step down by the US government, but there is pressure again for the Palestinian Authority to engage in reforms. I wanted to note one other thing though. As this war continues, remember, the #1 objective that we've heard from Netanyahu and the current Israeli government is that they must destroy Hamas. But that is not what's currently happening here. Because as the war continues, as more and more Palestinians lose their family members, as more and more innocent people are brutalized in the Gaza Strip, support for Hamas has been growing. So I want to go to the last graphic here because there was a survey conducted by the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research back in December, and it showed that more than 60% of Palestinians want the PA to be dissolved, the Palestinian Authority to be dissolved. Meanwhile, support for President Abbas, who has held the position since 2005, has collapsed. In the West Bank, 92% of respondents want him to resign, according to the poll. So they're losing support for the PA, whereas for Hamas, well, let's take a look at the numbers here. So this was a poll that was done by the Center for Policy and Survey Research, the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research. And here's what they found. 44% of the West Bank said they supported Hamas, up from just 12% in September. In Gaza, the militants enjoyed 42% support, up slightly from 38% 3 months prior to the survey being conducted.
Yeah, you guys want to know why? I mean, I feel like this is the only place that is not doing propaganda. You know why Hamas got more propaganda? Because they're fighting back against Israel. As you see your mom being murdered, or your babies being killed, or your grandmother shot by a sniper, who do you think you're going to be in favor of? The guys that are being controlled by Israel in the West Bank pretending to be your leaders? Or the guys fighting back against Israel? Just use common sense. We can do this nonsense about, oh yeah, when Hamas kills, they're terrorists. When Israel kills, there's a beautiful democracy. Beautiful, right? Oh, they killed 25 times more than Hamas. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so Hamas is fighting back. You're not allowed to say that, by the way, in American media. So if Texas was occupied, let's use a different analogy since you can't say that. If some people decide to grab their guns and fight back violently in Texas against their occupation, would they be considered A, villains, or B, heroes by the people of Texas? My guess is they would be considered heroes, massive heroes. And if some people in Texas said, no, the people that are occupying us and turning us into their humiliated servants, we should love them. And we should do whatever they tell us. Do you think they would be popular in Texas or unpopular in Texas? Come on, guys. This is so obvious. The only reason why I get upset about it is not because it isn't obvious and that you guys can't see it. It's that everyone in power in America denies the most obvious things in the world. Okay, so this is never gonna get fixed because, you know, Anna told you Biden and Trump are both against Netanyahu? No, they're not. I mean, they are through their words, but at the end of the day, who's the boss of who? And again, a thing you're not allowed to say, even though it is a stone cold fact. Netanyahu says, we're doing this. And Biden goes, okay, so please, okay, I will. I'll give you everything, I'll give you 14 billion more. And Trump says the same goddamn thing. So they're not against Netanyahu. They work for Netanyahu. So prove me wrong. disagree with Netanyahu, not with words, but with policy once, and I'll retract everything. Not once yet, not once.